Hello, my loves. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome into this reading for the quarter moon in Scorpio. This reading is advice for you on an individual level and for us on a collective level. That's valid from the 24th of January until the 30th of January. So the way that I do these readings is we follow each quarter phase of the moon. This is the quarter moon in Scorpio that we're celebrating. The moon moves into Scorpio late on the 24th at 22:57 Eastern Standard Time. So I'm doing the reading starting today, even though the quarter moon doesn't happen until tomorrow, which is the 25th. And that happens at 8:41 in the morning. And this advice is valid until the 30th because the moon moves into Aquarius on the 31st. And then the new moon in Aquarius happens on the 1st of February. So I'm giving you kind of a framework of what's going on with this astrological makeup, with the astrological journey, especially when it comes to the moon. I am just going to restart my camera here. You guys can see the background, how everything goes here, the behind the scenes look of what's going on. My camera is a little bit wonky right now. Okay. Hopefully this works now. So I'm giving you a little bit of background on the moon phases because I just want you to understand where all of this advice is coming from. The moon moves astrological signs every 3 to 4 days. So it's a constantly moving energy, constantly impacting and influencing the energetics that surround us. I like to think of astrology as like the energetic weather that we are navigating through. And so that is really where the formula for these readings come from and the basis for the structure that I offer them. So if you are new to my readings, hello and welcome. If you are not new, hello and welcome back. Just a few things for those who are new. This is guidance that's intended to be aligned with your highest good, the highest good of the local spirit, and the highest good of all. My intention with these readings is to always help guide you back to the wise, instinctive knowing that exists within yourself. So although I'm reading the cards and interpreting the cards and the information that's coming through is intended for your own alignment, your own relationship to the cards, the images, and your own information that's coming through for you as I'm reading the cards is absolutely relevant and actually more relevant than anything that I could share with you. These are sacred tools, and any sacred spiritual tool is intended really to guide you back to you. So that is just a little bit of the understanding I want you to have as we go into this reading. I always listen to readings with a journal. I write down what the card is, what the reader said, and then I also write down my own interpretations as the information comes through. Typically, I will draw the cards live so that you guys can know that it's just coming out organically. But this spread is a very detailed spread, and I actually have notes that I took here that I will be referring to when we go through them. And it's all about the it just helps to facilitate the process. So thank you for trusting me that I'm not trying to fool around with you on that. I'm a little nervous. I have these new setups that I'm playing with, and it really is like making me a lot more nervous than I usually am when I do these readings. So, but the cool thing about them is now I can watch chats as they come through live. So if you do catch me on live now, I will be able to see your comments, which is really fun and exciting. And it also just facilitates the process for me, helps make things go quicker. I'm working on better cameras, angles, and setups for you guys too, so we can really get the most of these spreads and readings and all of that. This is a 9-card spread, and it's intended for guidance for the collective and you on an individual level. So when I set the intentions, when I drew these cards, and I asked which decks wanted to come through, and I asked which order they wanted to show up in, the intention was to give you guidance for where you are on an individual level, where I am on an individual level in my story, where you are in your story, and where we all are as a human collective. So this is giving us an overall picture and perspective on where everybody that we interact with in the world right now is energetically. So this is a very detailed spread. Like I said, I will get into it and what all the cards and the positions mean. And we're just going to kind of go through it. So if you're not already in a space where you're comfortable, where you're not going to be disturbed, where you have time to kind of settle down and get into this reading, then I do recommend you do that. We're going to start here with the center card of the reading. And that card is After the Storm. So this card represents what is going on for all of us on a deepest spiritual level. So this card is like what we're all kind of experiencing, which is absolutely perfect because this card really talks about like how sometimes storms have to come in order to move us through stuck energies and kind of bring that like freshness. Sometimes things have to come to a head, right? Things have to kind of get a little bit stormy and intense so that things can be cleared, so that the energy can disperse, so that, you know, the new energy, the energy after the storm is really the energy that this card is talking about. So you on an individual level may have been experiencing, or may this week be experiencing, a storm-like energy, like a building and a clashing and a blowing about of things in your life. But just remember that there is this unfolding behind all of that, and that there is this new space that's being created through that for us to create something new. And on a collective level, you know, we have been going through quite the energetic storm since the beginning of the decade, and we are really experiencing kind of the clearing of that coming up. The card itself talks about there is in life and in the creative process a need to allow for wild storms. Understanding the storm wisdom, we understand that they are natural, necessary, and they bring a gift of bringing things to a head, clearing them away, so that the energy can be freed from a pattern that has had its day and is ready to become something new. So you will know when you successfully bear, you will know that you can successfully bear its progression and be safe on the other side when this card appears. So it is also just giving us the message that like we can do it, we can make it through. It is going to get better. And their card also comes as a reminder that we have so much love and light in our heart, and this is only a temporary and necessary unfolding. It also is an indication that our prayers are being answered, and an invitation for us to let go and hold only on to our inner self, as everything else is cleansed in this sacred storm. So that's really the messages that is coming through. This is the Sacred Rebel deck by Alana Fairchild, and we're going to move on here with the deck. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write them down in the chat, even on replay. You guys are welcome to do that. All right, so the next card I want to talk about is what we have been learning up until this point. Oh, no, that's this one. So this is the message that we have been learning up until this point. And yes, I did put a little sticker on her so that I don't get flagged for nudity, because this deck does have some beautiful, natural, very tasteful depictions of the feminine expression, but I don't want to get flagged for any nudity. So that's why she has a little heart there. So this card represents the lesson that we've been learning up until this point. Again, this is for you on an individual level and like what everyone's been learning through the beginning of this decade and whatever is going on in their lives. And this guidance is really only for the week. It's like a kind of a bird's eye view of our week. But this is really the lesson that's kind of wrapping up now for us. The message of the card is that when we need to release alliances so that greater productivity, creativity, abundance, and consciousness can be experienced. The card talks about that it is now time to expand into higher frequencies of experience that will bring about enhanced love, empowerment, and peace into our lives. So it really talks about how we're kind of been learning up until this point how to let go of the things that are not serving us, the allegiances that we were having to the structures and routines that we thought were really serving us, but that we realized at the end of the day really weren't what was important in our lives. And we're kind of coming through that and learning to experience new life. It talks about a time of self-love, paying attention to ourselves, holding and being with ourselves, and reconnecting with nature in solitude. So that is really what we've been learning. We've been learning how to reconnect with yourself. And if you don't feel like you have been learning that, you may be learning that really strongly this week. But also just encouraging you to remember what you have learned over the start of this decade and what you've experienced when it comes to knowing yourself and caring for yourself and retreating from the outside world and really going within to find out who you are, what you need, how to best serve yourself, and how to best celebrate yourself. The card talks about staying grounded and staying aligned to what we know to be true, even if other people and other voices in our space are telling us different stories. Talks about our healing work paying off and knowing that some relationships will grow with us and some relationships will fall away. And also talks about loving our body, trusting our body, loving our wisdom, and trusting our wisdom, knowing that our body loves and trusts us, and knowing that our wisdom loves and trusts us. There's this reciprocal relationship we have with our being, with our minds, with our knowing, and not only do we have love and appreciation and trust in those things, but they have trust and love and appreciation for us as well. So that's what releasing alliances has to talk about. And again, this is like what we're finishing up, what we've been learning, and what we are moving through now at this time. Now we can get over to this card. So this card is what we will be learning that's going to help us move swiftly along. This is from the Isis Oracle by Alana Fairchild. And it's called The Mother of Life, Nourishing of the Golden Grain Mother. So this card talks about allowing ourselves to receive and be in a more receptive state. That when we hold on to the familiar and we stay stuck in a pattern, we're not opening doors and windows or taking down great big walls to let new energy in. And this card is an invitation to let that energy in. It's like the Great Mother wants to give us the beautiful, precious gifts of what we've been asking for. But in order to do that, we have to open ourselves and create space for it to come in. Card talks about restoration, nourishment, and bringing to life that which has been considered lost. It's talking about learning skills and practices that nourish ourselves and our communities. This is really important at this time, especially as the sun is in Aquarius right now. So the sun moved into the Aquarius sign on the 19th of the month in January. And if you guys want to know more about how this movement impacts your life and impacts your own astrology, you can sign up for my solar readings. They're monthly readings with monthly guidance for you specifically based on how this energy influences your chart. And it's only $11.11 a month. I walk you through how to find out all the information you need and how to access the videos. And if you have any trouble and have any questions about any of that, you can always reach out to me. You can access that through the link in the description here or devotedandvulnerable.com/services. So Aquarius is the energy of humanitarianism. And so as this card talks about learning skills and practices that nourish ourselves and our community, it's really focusing on that humanitarian aspect of Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius that we are moving into or already in, depending on which timing you subscribe to. And it's really important at this time that we focus our intentions on not only how we can help ourselves, but how we can help our community as well, because it's really, really important to come together as a collective. That's actually why I started doing these collective readings, because I think it's important for us to know where we're all at in this journey so we can have more compassion for each other, we can have more understanding for each other, and we can really keep in the forefront of our mind what's going to be best for everybody. The card talks about staying connected to our heart and giving ourselves permission to grow as we open these doors and move out of the familiar. It says our intuitions and urges to reach out and act in new ways are guiding us, and that as we journey into the new life, we will need to be patient as we learn and grow. So patience is a big part of this card. It's not just going to all happen and unfold immediately. We do have to be patient with the process. And lastly, it talks about how discomfort and unfamiliarity is where life is attempting to break through. So if you're like, I don't know, that's stretching me outside my comfort zone, I don't know if I really want to do that, well, then that is the message for you to actually, yes, this is something that's going to help you to grow and bring in those new experiences, to move into the higher frequencies that the Release the Alliances card was talking about, Allegiances card was talking about, and allow yourself to experience some newness, some new energy, some new people, new situations, new skills and practices that the card is talking about here to helping ourselves and helping our community. This is what we're going to be learning this week. That's actually going to help things move really quickly along for us, because as we dive into this new thing, we're really going to be, I think, lit up again. And she talks about being able to bring life into what we thought was really gone, right? So if you're just someone who's been stuck and thinking that things just aren't going to move again, this card is really an information and confirmation for you that things are going to change, and they're going to change rapidly and in beautiful ways. And through that change, it might be a little uncomfortable, but to allow your heart to guide you, allow your intuition, your instincts, your ideas to move you through the moments, and to get really familiar with unfamiliarity, to trust in that unfamiliarity, and to have patience in the process as you're learning new things. Once you get a hang of everything that you're learning, things will move a lot quicker for you. But right now, as you're learning, you might have to be patient. Even though the energy is going to feel like it's moving quickly, you may not see like physical results right away, if that makes sense. So the next card in the spread, I read these in the order that they are supposed to be, that they are drawn. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, which is down here. So this card represents what's going on in our unconscious world that they want to bring our attention to. So before I go into this card, I'm just going to let you sit with it for a moment. Before I get into the message behind this card, I want to talk about when I say they, or when I say your spirit or your guides, I want you to use whatever words you use to describe source, God, goddess, angels, guardians, ancestors, fairies, star family, mythological creatures. Whatever it is that you believe in, I want you to know that you can connect with these energies and receive guidance from these energies. Whether I'm using the word God or angels or guidance or spirit, you can use whatever word resonates most with you, and know and trust that that communication is happening for you, even if my words don't actually match your own beliefs. So when I say they want us to know, it could be God wants you to know, if that's who you pray to and that's who you're intending to bring into this space to get guidance and clarity on. Hold on one second. And it could be your ancestors who want you to know this. If it's your ancestors that you are bringing into this reading. Normally I talk about bringing people into this reading, but again, this is a new setup. I'm new to this structure and the different cameras and stuff. So things are a little, they're a little awkward right now. So I'm not quite as clean and clear and focused as I normally am. So thank you for forgiving me for not being perfect and seeing me in all of my imperfections and honoring me there, and still loving me if you can. I'm just going to clear my nose one more time and then I'll be right back. Okay. So this is what's going on in the unconscious. This is what your guides want you to know and want to bring to your awareness. Vegetarian and vegan card is always talking about how the energy of what we consume is also the energy of what we're able to feel, emit, experience. So this is talking about the spirituality behind the food that you eat, and almost more so talking about the vibrations behind the food that you eat. And that the higher vibrations of the things you're consuming, so like fresh organic fruits and vegetables, that is going to be supporting you in a higher vibration. The card Releasing Allegiance is talking about moving from lower vibrational awareness to a higher vibrational awareness, and everything is vibration. And this shift in your diet can really help you with this. This might be talking about this week, but it also might be talking about, like, in general, a change for you to make in your life. The card specifically talks about, it says, fresh fruit and vegetables give you a boost of high life force, which elevates your spiritual frequency. Honor your body and spiritual path by only ingesting high vibrational food and drink. This helps increase your psychic clarity and sensitivities. Ask for support managing cravings, handling increased costs, and the increased sensitivities that come with this change, and release attachments to unhealthful substances, opening your arms to honor your healthy body. So we may be unconsciously aware we may be unconscious of the influence that the food that we're eating is having on our own nature. Like if we're really tired and sluggish and we don't know why, or we're really like are feeling down and we don't know why, one of the reasons that it could be behind that is just simply what we've been putting into our body. The resonance and the frequency of the food that we're eating isn't matching where we're trying to be in our spiritual natures, in our lives, showing up for ourselves and our body in a different way with this choice, and showing up for others in a different energy and frequency because of what we've chosen to ingest. And with this card, I always talk about being very aware of what you're ingesting energetically as well. So the vibration of the entertainment that you are watching, listening to, talking about is also very much contributing to your spiritual vibrational output. So if you're watching the energy of something that perhaps they'll say like is a horror thing or a crime thing or a really intense drama, it actually may be keeping your spiritual frequencies in those lower vibrational realities, and just really cautioning you at this time to be aware of the things that you're listening to and watching. Even the music that you listen to, if it's singing about lower vibrational, and there is a scale of vibration if you want to look it up. I'm not sure. I think just scale of vibration will bring it up for you, but like fear, guilt, shame, anger, jealousy, envy, those things are on the lower vibrational scale. I think pride is like when it starts to get above the median. Compassion, love, gratitude, those are higher on the vibrational scale. So when I'm talking about frequencies, that's really what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that they're good or bad. I'm just saying that they are lower. Like frequency is a wavelength. And so the wavelength we want to kind of increase so that we can experience the reality that comes along with these higher vibrations. Like you have to be in the energy of gratitude to experience a life that you're grateful for. And if you're ingesting food that's in a lower, denser vibration, or if you're ingesting media that's in a lower, denser vibration, then that's going to be what your own vibration is resonating at. I hope that makes sense. Again, feel free to ask if you have questions. And we are going to move on to the next card in the spread, which is this top card here. And this is talking about the external environmental influence. That deck we just looked at with the Vegetarian Vegan was the Angel Therapy deck by Doreen Virtue. Now we're back to the Isis Oracle. So this is the environmental message. This talks about overcoming negative energy with feminine power. Okay, so it says, become conscious of the negative energies within or directed towards you without becoming fearful. There is no need to be fearful. There is just need for more conscious, loving response to the negative forces in your environment. Responding with compassion, clear and loving firm boundaries, trusting the guidance that's in there is also going to help us navigate that. The card talks about the fact that we are all one, and the world is our mirror for the healing that is being tasked to us within. Though the source of difficulty appears external, it is an opportunity to gain a mastery with our own responses through compassion and inner healing. I wanted to read you what the card said first because I really do want to talk about the deeper meaning behind this card. So, this card is such a beautiful card, especially in this position of the outer environment, because we may be noticing negativity in our outer environment, and we are being asked and tasked with the great challenge of responding with compassion rather than force or resistance or anger. Allowing ourselves to look at what's going on in the outer world as an invitation to heal within and really to see things through the lens of compassion. That's what it talks about when it means overcoming negative energy with the feminine power. The feminine power in this case being that compassion, that deep understanding that the mother of all life knows that we're all connected and wants us all to be brothers and sisters who get along. And though there may be negative things going on in our outer environment, it's our gift, our power, and our responsibility to respond with compassion at this time, which actually starves those negative energies in the outer environment from having anything to feed off of, because they're no longer able to exist in our vibration. It's like we're talking about with the vegetarian vegan card and with the releasing allegiances card. Where are we in vibration? If we're in anger, then more things that match that angry vibration are coming in really clear so that we can see where we're at. If we respond to negative energy, envy, jealousy, greed, hatred, destruction in the outer environment with compassion, be like, oh, I'm going to set a clear and loving boundary to this. I'm going to say no more to this energy, but I'm also going to do it with love and understanding and with gratitude. Be like, oh, I'm so grateful that this thing has showed up in my life so that I could learn how to set this boundary, so that I could learn how to respond with compassion. Because if you're in compassion and you're in the energy of gratitude, then those are the things that you're gonna magnetize toward yourself, and those are the experiences that you're going to continue to have. But if you allow the negative influences in the outer environment to bring you down to their energy, then you're only going to simply feed more of the same. Again, I hope this is making sense. Let me know if you have questions, but this is the guidance for what's going on in our outer environment. There are negative energies and negative forces at play at this time on a collective level. And as a human collective, we are being tasked and given the great gift of mastering our response to that with compassion and love at this time. So this card is what your guides, goddesses, gods, guardians, ancestors, fairies, star family want you to know. It's again the Sacred Rebel deck with some more stickers to make sure that I don't get flagged for nudity. And the card is, every journey starts with a single step. So this is what they want you to know. They want you to know every journey starts with a single step. Here's what the card talks about. You're on a journey. Its destination is a physical expression of the internal healing that you are doing and have been doing. You'll need a lightness of heart, trust that change is a blessing, knowledge that you have all that you need, and an openness to the unscripted nature of it all. Small steps are important and cumulative. Keep going one step at a time. It's a very simple, straightforward card here, but it is talking about encouraging you to keep going, encouraging you to take one step at a time, even if you don't see the physical results of the journey that you are on right away. It's cumulative. It's all building up until it all kind of unfolds. It's like when you make a meal, right? Even though you're just putting in all the ingredients, and sometimes it doesn't look like what it's going to look like at the finished product. It's still all coming together, bits and pieces, so that you can have the finished meal at the end of it. But it's still kind of in that, gathering the ingredients phase, so to speak. So just know that it's just a matter of taking one inspired step after another and really getting in touch with your heart and listening for your guidance. Last week's information was very much supporting us in listening to our own bodies, listening to our own nudges and intuitions, listening to the synchronicities that we see in life, and listening to our and responding to what we're seeing in our mind's eye, and allowing ourselves to move forward with that knowing and knowledge and guidance. So if you need help with that guidance, reach out, let me know, because listening to the inner voice and the inner urges and yearnings that occur within ourselves is really one of the only ways we're going to get through this journey that we're on, because it's meant to guide us back to that exact thing, being able to know from within ourselves the guidance that's within, right? Giving our power to external things, even to me as a reader and even to these cards, is ultimately still taking us off path if it's not helping us hear the inner knowing within. And as I'm giving you this reading and you're kind of having an understanding, that inner dialogue that you're having, that's part of how the guidance is bringing you back to you. So this card here is what they want us to do. And I laughed out loud when I flipped over this card because it's the Power Over the 7 Scorpions card. So it is, the card that has to do with, I'm just going to, Sorry, I'm just going to move this real quick so that you can see this card. I know it's cutting off my words a little bit. But I laughed out loud when this card came up because this is the quarter reading in Scorpio. So, of course, what they want us to do is work with the Scorpion energy. So this card talks about how Isis was able to cure a boy who had been stung by 7 scorpions. She was able to remove the poison of those 7 scorpions by calling out the poison by name. So I'm going to read to you what the card says, and then we're going to discuss this in deeper, because this, out of all the cards in the spread, the what to do card is like the most important card that we can have, because it's what do we do? So with compassion, discernment, mercy, and non-judgment, you can manage any toxicity with great effect and swiftly through the power of your will and your word. Through compassion, respect, and love, with knowledge of the power of your will and word, you can overcome any poison by naming it. To name the poison requires careful and clear assessment with a detached, curious, and compassionate lens. You will then gain wisdom to successfully integrate the spiritual lesson of your experience. So this card is talking about how when we're able to name something, to call it out within our being and within our outer environment, we are able to gain power over that. And it's not power in a dominating way, but it's the power of being able to set that loving boundary that the, which card was talking about setting loving boundaries? The Brother of Darkness card. So this is really how we do it, by using our will and our word. This is a meditation that I'm definitely going to be offering up this week for this process, because I think it's very, very important, and I've used this in my own life when I've drawn this card personally, and it is super powerful. So the most important part is the evaluation of what the poison is. So if you notice yourself getting agitated by something, going within and feeling what is the poison within. So I'll give you a local example of the Bills losing their playoff game and no longer being in the running for the Super Bowl, and feeling really affected by that, and really disappointed and upset and really low vibration. And so I got to look at what is going on within me, but not trying to force it out, not trying to force my understanding of it, but just kind of curious, be like, oh, this is curious. I'm feeling really affected by this. What is this vibration that is going through me right now? And for me, it's really about whether I trust that all is happening as it's meant to happen. So really, fear in the unfolding is the poison in this case, because if I trusted that everything's happening as it should, then that is part of it. But then I can look deeper and I can find that I've given my power away to the result of this game. And so for me, it's also about where I'm giving my power to. The powerlessness of this energy is really the poison of it, because it makes you feel powerless. It's like you were hoping and so attached to the outcome, and just so like, finally we might be able to break the curse and finally get that win, and yay, and we have the team, we have all the things in place, we just need to win that coin flip. And really recognizing, where am I giving power to, not just in this game, but where else am I giving power to? What stories of my past are still running that I'm giving my power away to? My worthlessness belief, my belief that I'm too much, my fear that no one will listen to me or see me. These are the things, these are the poisons that this whole unfolding, a football game, is bringing up for me to really look at and evaluate and see. But even all of that, like that, even as I'm talking to you about that, clearly there's still some more introspection that's needed to be able to call out that poison. So once you're able to identify what the poison is that you're experiencing, there is a affirmation for you to say to cast it out. So you say, with love and gratitude. Ooh. Okay, my feather fell over and then the card fell over. So maybe I'm not supposed to read this affirmation. Hold on, let me go to my doubts. Is it aligned for me to read this affirmation? Okay, it's aligned for me to do anything else before. Okay. I'm just going to take a breath before I do this. So once you've identified the poison, get clear. Breathe. Get centered in your heart. Feel compassion in your being. And then say, with love and gratitude, I name you as the demon of blank. And I release you in all of your forms and effects, beloved. Thank you for your learning. You must leave my being and not return. Through unconditional love, so be it. So when you find jealousy, envy, unworthiness, patterns of the past, things holding you back, self-beat up, whatever it is, hubris, ego, pride. And again, I said pride is like one of the, it's like a neutral energy on the scale of vibration. But yeah, it still can be destructive. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to add to that at this time. The card does also talk about the power to conjure lower vibrational forces, but it doesn't mean call them into being and let them fight for you. Like when I first looked at this card, I was like, I don't know if I want that energy in my life. It really means calling out those lower vibrational frequencies and being able to cast them out, releasing them from your being with this powerful, loving affirmation. Okay, that's all I got for that one. But be on the lookout for a meditation video from me with this process, because I am definitely going to be offering that up sometime this week. Yeah. Okay, moving on to what they want us to avoid. So this was a weird flex. This was like I'm like, why did this card show up? Workshops and seminars. Attending and giving speeches is part of your spiritual path and purpose. Be open to teaching and learning. So in this position, we're going to read this card in the following way. Avoid being closed off to teaching and learning at this time. Avoid having worries, concerns, doubts, and uncertainties about giving or receiving workshops by giving them to Source, God, Goddess, angels, guardians, ancestors, fairies, guardians, star family, mythological creatures. Trusting the ideas and feelings that come are guidance for you to move you through these uncertainties, these worries, these doubts, and these concerns that you're giving up to whomever it is that you speak to outside of yourself. And that's really that. So this is like, if there's a new, remember we were talking about if there's a new practice and a new, hold on, skill and practice that is helpful for you and your community. So that's really what it feels like. It's like this is related to the skills and practices helpful for you and your community. Don't be afraid to teach them if you're in that position, and don't be afraid to learn them if you're in that position. And if you're getting like really feeling uncertain about it, give those up to your Source so that you can move through that and continue to learn and continue to teach, because that is really what is being asked for us at this time. And that's really what the collective is needing for and from us at this time. Like, think about it. If you're going to be taught by somebody, if they're still having doubts about their ability to teach, then they're not going to show up to teach you what it is that you need to know. Or if you're that teacher and there's another person in the collective who really needs to learn from you, you have to give up your concerns and worries so that they can learn from you. Or like your students have to give up their concerns and worries so that they can show up to your class. Those kinds of things. That's really what it's talking about this week. And then, last but not least, we have the final outcome, the Goddess card. I love that, especially in relationship to the feminine power overcoming the negative forces. It says, express your divine feminine energies, whether you're masculine or feminine in form, embracing its magical, nurturing, and creative artistic qualities. Spend time each day expressing playfulness, compassion, and wisdom. So that's really the final outcome of all of this learning and growth and understanding and expansion. and healing and removal of the poison and boundary setting is that we are more in our feminine, more in our compassionate, playful, and wise natures. And that is really where we are heading to on individual and a collective level this week. Wow. So that, my dears, is the end of this reading. I really appreciate you for your support, your love, your being, your essence, and as always, Namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors the universal light within you. Namaste.